A flotilla of feluccas, Bob?
Yes, they're beautiful boats, made out of cedar wood, these things. You'll notice, as soon as they've got passengers on board, it takes a crew of 2 to make it operate.
Alright.
This is because this is a genuine old sailing craft. Those are canvas sails with rope rigging. And the weight required to manoeuvre this event is quite extensive. These are going back the same style of boat as we had in the 1700s.
I didn't realise you had a boat in the 1700s, Bob.
Yeah. Well, I was on then, I think that's when I started. You see that passenger boat? There's an example.
Alright, we'll go in and have a look at
There's 2 people on it. There's one on the fore end and one on the stern. Now you look at the boats as they're coming
Hey,
across.
I've got your arm, Bob.
Now you look at the other boats that are just coming in to pick up passengers. One there, one over there. You'll see that only needs a crew of 1.
Yes.
The weight is directly proportional to the number of people on board, unlike our modern yachts. That's why our ships require so many men.
Gotcha. Well, this is the boat we're on, and that's a view of the lower deck, well, the quarter deck if you like, and now we have the upper deck, of which lots more will be seen. That includes 2 small swimming pools and Nile views right the way around. The building that we're focusing on now is the Rowing Club, which is quite a modern looking building. And this is now the view from right forward. And we have a panorama right the way around the Nile. We'll be setting sail about lunchtime. And this is the city of Aswan. This view is the view out the front of the cabin and is not dissimilar from the view we just had on the upper deck. The only difference, of course, is the amount of tackle hanging down and oil drums filled with various things. And somewhere on the foredeck or on the forecastle is a prayer mat. Yes, there's the prayer mat, Muslim ceremonial for the use of. We do have another window, of course. But at the moment that's not really appropriate because we're alongside, and as you can see we're alongside a vessel there. There's nothing to see out the window. Okay, we're now off to, where are we going today, Susie?
That temple, is with an A, with a P-E-A, P-H-E-A on there.
Yes, but we're also going to look at the unfinished obelisk.
Oh yes.
And the Aswan Dam.
That sounds nice, doesn't it?
Yes.
No,
Philos.
No,
Fair dinkum?
something. We'll tell you when we get back anyway.
That's where we're going. Okay.
Okay.
Right, we're now entering where the unfinished obelisk is, and it's the quarries near Aswan. I don't know the area, but we better get going because we're getting left.
Okay, off you go.
Okay. Oh, you had a bag of bread.
As our party disappears into the sunset.
But in between, they will do some tests to make sure that the deeper layers are in good shape.
And of course there's no
See here, deeper holes.
doubt as to why this one
Still
failed
made
quality
by dropping
control and was never finally
the
cut.
balls
There's
to
something
go
very
to
cut
deeper
in,
areas
split.
to make sure that the stone was still in good condition.
Absolutely massive.
This obelisk, 41 meters high, would have been the biggest actually erected in Egypt. We don't have any bigger than 34 meters, the one made by Moses III, now in the square St. John Lateran.
Maybe they burrowed underneath.
It appears here that 2 teamwork were working both sides, And they didn't join in a perfect line. Right. Then while cutting the pyramidal on top, the chip went out and made another crack.
Now this is a very interesting picture. It might look boring from where you are, but
You see how they proceed?
what you've got is you've got a series of
They make
slots which have been cut with bronze chisels.
and then inside the front
What they would then do is they would insert wooden wedges into those slots, hit them with bloody great hammers which would split the rock, and we've got another piece of rock that I'm just about to turn to where you'll see the result. Now, I'm actually poised on the edge of a cliff here, but you can see the remains of the slots. Ooh, I'm going to fall. Remains of the slots, and where the stone has come away. I'm just going to hold the camera out and turn it in. And you should be able to see now just how the stone came away. The ancients unfortunately had many failures, and here's one series of slots where they've cut and not a whole heap happened, and they've given up and gone away.
One there and one there.
So as Bob's just told me, you can see his shadow on my left. Hi Bob! We've got a half round which has been thrown on amongst the rubbish,
I can't do it with a shadow.
but this actual piece here would have just been pulled away,
There we are.
rolled off. Oh yes, there's another piece of half round. Okay, so rolled away, and it would go out in that direction, he says shoving, and that would go onto a barge, and the barge would then follow this. They would actually have water here, and it would follow that water course right the way down there to the Nile, and then be floated down to Cairo. Incredible. Once you're aware of the technique, you then discover that all over the place,
Well, once you know what you're looking for,
yeah,
it's there, isn't it?
are these slots where they've just sliced away, and out comes the rock from there, and down here, and off down the valley below. Good heavens. And now you have a situation where you've got the marks on the top of this column, and we notice now it's a full round
Here's the
column.
size of the column.
Yeah. Astonishing. And then they would have just trimmed that after the event.
Look how they come all the way down and rain it. Absolutely
Oh,
brilliant.
yes.
They're driven the horse for us, yeah?
And still on the thingy, yes, well, we're now at Aswan High Dam. This monument is in the shape of a lotus flower, or a symbolic lotus flower, indicating the friendship between the Russians and the Egyptians, because it was the Russians who funded the work on the Aswan Dam. And there you have the arms of the Soviet Union and the arms of Egypt. The reason for the selection of the lotus flower was that the god Ra was supposedly born in a lotus flower, and that is the symbol of purity ascending to heaven. This is an example of classic Egyptian paradox. On the one hand we have lush greenery merging into rough and inhospitable desert. That was a big word for a little boy, wasn't it? And from this distance we can see, as we turn around to our right, the actual structure of the high dam itself coming into focus. And very soon we will be going over there to have a closer look at it. And the dam is approached by proceeding. Sorry, here's Bob. Let's talk to Bob. Can't hear you, Bob. You got your back to us.
Oh, sorry.
Right, there you go.
Oh, you wanted me to make a commentary on
Why not? You're there.
If you see the straight line, can you see that from your angle?
Yes, I can.
Well, you can see there the land, that's the actual curve of the valley. And it's so big that you can't see it, because that's a smaller island in the middle, where it rises to the other side. That is the area on top that they've actually filled in and built the dam on. And this is backing to support the walls to prevent erosion coming round. Incredible feat. See the sluices? That's what Norma was saying. They've shut the waters down temporarily so they clean it out. It takes about 3 weeks to clean out.
We'll just have a quick scoot high speed into that. Oh, I
They
see.
take see the straight, there's the bulge. That's the land coming down. So if you can imagine a valley and a straight line across the middle, this is the top of the valley and that's the straight line. That's why it's called the high dam. It's so high up. They built it right across from the top of the valley across. Huge, huge project.
Good, isn't it?
Incredible. And that piece over there was where they actually diverted the Nile.
Yes.
On the left side of the high dam, you can observe the power station
One of the remaining temples.
using 12 turbines, 2,000 megawatts power each. They shift
And this is
6
Lake Nasser.
and 6 at a time.
On the other side of the high dam.
Of course, this is not the only power station of Egypt, but this one has helped a lot to develop, particularly industry. If you consider Egypt to be mainly an agricultural country, but still Egypt has a lot of, well, why? I don't know.
Apparently video is not allowed here, so we get it all done in the pasta.
So on the right side,
And as we're not allowed video, I'm just going to do the video here, so we can just see that temple, and that's on full telephoto, and as close as I can get.
We're on our way to Phileas Island, which is where the temple of Philae is built, and it was moved some years ago because when they put the dam in, the level of the water went up by 14 metres, and so they had to raise the site of the temple so that they wouldn't lose it. And this is what we're now going to go and see. It's a bit
Now what we're
hard.
going to see, isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
Alright. And here's our intrepid band on the boat. We've got the kamikazes up the bank. Look. Abdul the Arab is the captain. More intrepid fellows of our band. Don't forget the guys flogging stuff. And out over the lake is roughly where we're going to end up. 3 men in a boat? No, considerably more than 3 in a boat. However, here is the temple of Philae. Philae de Mignon. Well, Philae de Greek actually, because this is, they love their horns, don't they? You've heard the term horny Egyptian, well there is one. And here is more of the temple. Built a bit like a box. The interesting thing about the pillars on the temple is that they are supposed to represent open papyrus leaves. Bet you didn't know that. Okay, well we'll wait till we get ashore because this noise is driving me mad.
Well, this is the temple of Isis. And Isis can be seen on the right-hand side of the door. There's a colonnade on each side, and the interesting thing about this colonnade is every single pillar has a different capital, or the capital of every single pillar is different, which is quite remarkable because we're used to a degree of commonality in architecture, and here the Egyptians have gone out of their way to make every single thing different. We're now going to go inside the temple, hoping that the crowds of people have disappeared. This temple is south-facing, which is unusual, but it's facing the head of the Nile. As we go through the entrance, we walk through, we find another set of pylons, not dissimilar from the first, proving that graffiti has been around longer than civilization, so I'm trying to shield the microphone. There is Greek graffiti on this inscription. Conversely, you have something which is not graffiti, which is a memorial tablet or memorial inscription left by Lord Kitchener in memory of the British people who died when Kitchener was in these air parts. The interesting thing about this pylon is not the hieroglyphics, but the fact of the holes, and the holes are where the Christians moved into the temple and built structures to live in. So this is the roof of an internal structure, and what they had done is they'd started defacing the temple, and that's why bits are missing, because they were scared of the old Egyptian gods. Again, you can see some more slots in those pillars. This is actually the stone of Isis, which the Coptic Christians then turned into a Christian altar. So the Christians strike again, and then they went about defacing as much of the temple as they could, particularly the bits facing the altar. Here we have the god, whose name I forget, but he's a baby, and he's sucking his thumb, and he has a piece of hair hanging down his left side, indicating that he's a child, but the Christians have again done a bit of defecation here, or defacing. So they've gone in and they've at least cleaned up the story.
The sanctuary has been more defaced. When the Christians stepped into an ancient temple, the first move was to destroy the creature here by raising the face, cutting the hand and the feet, which means to neutralize. Can you get in, please?
The Christianization of this site was completed by the construction of this 7th century cathedral, which was built by the Romans. It was actually started in the 5th century and finished in the 7th century. You may have wondered if the Romans were working in reinforced concrete in those days, but I suspect that these pillars have been added to give an impression of what it would have looked like, but left in their modern state so that you know they're not original, which in fact adds value to the antiquity of the site. What does not add value to the site, however, is the pile of ancient Egyptian old tyres, engine parts and genuine scrap.
And gods, of course, they will always draw in profile. And it reflects as well in the hieroglyphic pattern. When you want to say a head, you would draw a profile. But they use a head in full face, and it means a preposition pattern. So it's not concerning.
And what Norma was actually referring to was this chap who, as we've just been told, looks just like Prince Charles or a Ferengi. Sue will tell the story about how he made labour pains go away. We saw from the sea, this is Ptolemaic edition, so maybe 5th century BC. As Norma has told us, if you look, it's finished up at the top, but as we go down you'll notice the stones have not been trimmed because the style was to erect them and then clean them as they went down. So it looks as if they've missed the bit in the middle.
Well, you see the edges there?
Yeah. Yeah. And as we leave the Temple of Philae, you can see that construction of 2 pylons in the front, the courtyard, and 2 pylons internally. This is a beautifully Egyptian site with the hawkers in their bum boats. Actually, it's the first time I've seen somebody in a bum boat, to be honest. He's flogging hats. I've already bought a couple of those. And then they sort of attack the ferry boats as they come in, and you run a gauntlet of people trying to flog you stuff as you walk up the stairs, which is great if you want to buy. If you don't want to buy, you I don't know what push-off is in Arabic yet, but I'm bound to find out. I do want one of those Egyptian guitars, but I dare not ask. Well, here we are now, cruising the Nile on our Thomas Cook mobile. And here's the view from the bedroom window, or from the cabin window, or the suite. And we can see the whole vista around the Nile. Which is rather cute, actually. The deckhands are out there again, but they can't see us, apparently. And this is the view from the side window. If one was sitting on the bed, and this one is not, that's what one would see. Rather pretty, innit? Isn't it, eh? Oh, I've lost my... And over to Sue.
Well, it's not on.
It is on.
Oh, you had your finger over the red thing. Right, we're just coming up to the temple at Kuombo. I don't know what else to say about it.
Other than it's blowing half a gale.
Oh, it's very nice and warm. It's lovely here.
And when Jeff turns around, you won't be able to hear any commentary because the wind will be in the microphone.
Will it?
Yes, it will.
Oh, the wind will be in the microphone when Jeff turns around.
Okay, I'm going to turn around now.
Da-dum, da-dum, dum, dum.
Now we found an Arab on shore now who has a real dressing problem. I think he's an Arabic cross-dresser. Look at him go. Oh, nice sweetie. And Ahmed today is wearing a nice little number in white with little tassels on it. And the perfume he's wearing is Arab's armpit. Boom! The ship or boat astern is demonstrating marvellous Arab seamanship in so much as they've tied themselves to the nearest tree, which I suppose is a smart way to moor a boat. When in doubt, tie it to a tree. And as we approach the temple, we pass a tasteful street market, significantly cunningly concealed so that nobody can see it. And it carries on around the corner as well. So of course, after the market, we have amazing lush greenery from the irrigated Nile. 2,000 years old, we're told. 2,000-year-old crocodile mummies, and they do not look well. And do not appear, as I've just been told, at least they're together.
The type of works, actually, Egyptians would make sure that the future generation will be in touch of all the important Egyptian symbols and whatever concern the ideology of the ancient religion. So it's particularly in the very late temples that we can get all details concerning religion and kingship in Egypt. That's why in most of these temples you'd see a scene, generally speaking, classical scene we've observed in Abu Simbel, those who were with me yesterday, where you see Ramesses there smiting his enemies at the feet of the gods.
And in fact, this is the lower part of a very large wall. There's an interesting phenomenon at the bottom. The figures down the bottom are to represent the enemies of the Egyptians. And what they used to do is, as a symbol of good luck, they would rub sand into the faces of their enemies, and every one of these symbolic enemies has a concave depression where the face was, where over centuries sand was rubbed in it for good luck. How about that?
Which means that
It would appear that the reason for the mummified crocodiles is that the temple was half dedicated to the crocodile god Sorbet. This is called a Nilometer. It's both a well, so you can come down the steps of the well, and what we're looking at there is a sluice which goes to a second well, and then according to how far up the water came, they could measure the state of the flood against the stairs using them as a scale, and they used it to measure and predict the size of the flood and the size of the harvest and things like that. That's a story. I mean, personally, if I had a well like this, I'd probably just sort of go over to the river and have a look at it. Anyway, so the rest of the party have gone to the secondary well, and I will join them there. This time I fear the well is dry. There's nothing down there. So, ooh, out we come. As Sue's just remarked, look at the colours up here. And of course everything else would have had colour, but currently it doesn't. And of course the colour was protected because of the overhang of the temple. We have more colour on the capital of that pillar, and indeed on the reliefs on this wall. The temple must be magnificent, being white and coloured. And again, on the ceiling, and I'm looking right up at it, we have colour remaining on the underside. What we're looking at here is a secret entrance to the crypt, and I'm not going down there, and that's final. Got no idea what's in it. And there is the crypt again, with another entrance just behind Bob and Sue back.
Come on! Hi. This is Jeff and Bob and Sheila with her Tim Brothers. And this is is everybody else turning up? Whoops. This is Norma dressed in the beautiful
Oh, is that what's wrong with it?
robe on the right.
Something wrong. Everybody, when you would come on the other side.
As you can see, everybody's ready for dinner now. And hopefully in about 2 minutes' time we'll all be going in. It's going to be a fun night. Everybody's in the spirit of the party and they're all dressed up.
This is Bong the Kabong, summoning us all to dinner. We've been kabonged, haven't we? Yes, keep smiling. Go on, hit it again. Thank you. And all the happy campers going into dinner. Having a wonderful. Come on, campers. Let's have your best.
Your problem is that nobody can turn it on you.
There's no straight answer to that one. And here we are, lined up over our sumptuous repast. Almost looks like real food, doesn't it? Pity they've got to give it back in the morning, but never mind. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Salam, yes. Salami on my pizza. Yes. There's nothing worse than an Arab pizza. And what are you ladies eating? Arab pizza?
Oh, definitely.
Mulligatawny soup?
No, lentil.
Is it lentil?
Very nice. Yes, very nice.
Okay. How do you feel about being dressed up like?
I don't feel as if I've changed my sex.
Well, I'd like to change my sex. Enough is enough, and too much is more than I can deal with in one day.
No offers.
Thank you so much. Of course, we all know the back of this head.
Big head.
Yes. And here's the lady with the golden purse. This woman can outshop anybody on the entire cruise. Have American Express will travel. That's you, isn't it?
As long as the bank goes big.
I've met that woman
Can't
before.
outshop anybody, can she? Look at this.
The terrible twins. You wouldn't think they were twins, would you? Oh, right. Well, I won't take Omar just yet. Thank you. Do you mind? Tell me, Norma, why are you sitting at this table on your own?
I'm waiting for Adrienne. I don't know what she's doing.
Ah, right. So, I've already said what a wonderful outfit that is.
Thank you.
And thank you for everything you've done for us. Thanks, Norma. The wrong button. Right, you asked me if I liked Egyptian lentil soup, and the answer is I thought it was mulligatawny. So yes, I do.
Okay, that's
Fabulous. Thank you. Well, thank you, Cleo, and may I say, what a great deal of courage it takes to wear that. And we understand you're going to the deck chair business soon. Yes? 2 and 6 on the seafront.
Thank you.
But you're too cute to be in this business, aren't you? Yes. All right, Sal. And where's John gone? Ah, there's the lovely John. And you didn't shave specially for the occasion, I take it.
That's very true.
Matching outfit.
Sorry?
Matching outfit.
Are they? I didn't realise. Oh, yes. Yes. You're twins, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
You can tell.
We've got nothing better to do.
want us to talk as well?
Well, let's put it this way. Everybody else does most of the time. Was that the hand of fate that just got in there? Right. Did you all enjoy your mulligatawny soup? Hello, Cassandra. Did you know it wasn't mulligatawny soup at all?
We're having great fun. Yes, look at that. That's my bed sheet.
I was going to say, I had a message from housekeeping, please could we have our towel back? But the message to me was, could we have our brains back? So, hi there, sweetie. And here's the lady from Detroit, Michigan.
That's right.
Well, we all have our problems, don't we? Yes, pardon me. Excuse me.
What'd you say?
Where's the bathroom?
I can speak a little southern too.
But at least you don't mind making a fool of yourself either, do you?
No, not at all.
Yes.
You just go right ahead.
You do it so cutely, though. Thank you.
Get my shot too?
Yes, you probably... Do you realise we got those shawls down to £3? Go away! £3.
Actually, 30.
Ah,
I
what
got to deal with it.
Yes, you did. And he's very grateful, and so is his family. Thanks. Now, wait a minute. Oh, Brian's head has... It's not a turban at all. It's... Promise and wallet. Yes. Highly Arabic. So you've been lost in the back of a taxi cab in New York, have you? Hello. I just missed this. And here are our terrible twins from down under.
The virginal twins.
That was the publicity when they came on board.
Past comment. Miss Pinky and Pearl.
So nobody's having a good time here?
No, this is the most miserable time in the world.
Yes, I thought so.
I want to go out.
Right.
About 3 weeks.
Well, thank you all so much. game is called I've Lost My Mummy. She's dizzy. I've ever seen Bob look, actually.
Playing a stupid game. He's got a bit of string at the back of him with an object on it. He's got to swing it. No, that's cheating! Swing it. Woo! And as you can see, if you don't get the angle of if you don't get the angle of dangle right, you don't get a chance to hit it. Here he comes, streaking down. You'll never forgive me for this one. Never forgive me. There they are. Look at this guy. Bob, what have you got your hand up Jeff's back for? I don't believe this. Come on, Jeff.
They don't really need that, do they?
No. He couldn't even hit it when he picked it up. Look at Bob. Can you imagine what this looks like from the back? Hang on, Sheila, I'm going to go behind him.
I was just going to go behind
Where am I going with this over?
There they are from the back. As you can see, they're not having much luck. There it is. Now, get it right, swing it and hit it. There. That's how you do it. He's gonna win.
Oh, yes.
Come on. I can't stop laughing. This is so funny.
That's a bit tough game.
There's such a wonderful trip up the Nile. We've now got the window cleaners in. I don't know if the guy at the back is actually cleaning the windows or putting more dirt on that the guys in the front can come and sponge it off again. But anyway, which one where, Bob?
Paul?
The taxi fleet are assembling to take the happy sailors away on their trip to the temples of Edfu. There are Antipodean buddies with Bridget wearing her Paris model hat. My word, specially imported from Gay Paris. It's also pleasing to see that the residents of Edfu are so pleased to see us, they're hanging the flags out to welcome us to their lovely port town. There is the usual Egyptian ambience and that smell in the air, and of course it's only when we look a bit more closely we see where the smell is coming from.
How long is this?
Oh boy, the problem is 1 horsepower conveyances, isn't it?
The horse's name is Lola.
Yeah. What's your name?
Susan.
Yeah. See here? Name.
Oh, it's Bob.
This is now turning the Ben-Hur chariot race of the century.
Do you want me to tell you when there are holes?
Yes.
The butter Susan.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Attention! Attention!
They told me there was a job cleaning up in town, and there it is. If this was smelly vision, people would be turning it off right now. Whoa, boy!
Maybe later. Maybe later.
Maybe later? Possibly. And the subject of today, Temple of Edfu. I don't quite know what this is, but it is absolutely magnificent. It's a huge wall, and behind it, a lovely view of the mountains. Well, a large pile of rock anyway. Even the wide-angle projection fails to do justice to this twin tower pylon building. It is absolutely massive, easily 2 or 3 times the size of the Temple of Isis that we visited earlier on. And if we look at our old mate Horace, or as the locals call him Horus, we can see there's still traces of colour remaining on his face. Absolutely spectacular. Again, I have to say this is wide angle, it's as big as I can get. These 4 holes were to locate cedarwood masts, which went another 30 metres above this massive pylon. Flying flags would have been a most impressive sight. Now if we look over to the left again, we can see vestiges of colour again
in the marshes of the delta, where are
underneath
very thick
the
forests
external
protecting
cornice.
her at that time until he grew
The
up.
scale of
And
this
it's funny
building
when
has
he
to be
was
seen to be believed.
that she called him
It's genuinely the stuff that Hollywood would like to be made of. Richard and Maggie looking really into it, eh? But even after 2,000 years, the vestiges of colour on the top of that capital are still quite stunningly beautiful. And on this one you have blues and browns. But can you imagine what they must have been like when they were new? For 2,000 years, your average Dulux wouldn't last that long, would it? And as we come inside, we see the scale and magnificence of the internal structure. Unfortunately, the interior here is nowhere near as well preserved as outside. The black is soot, which has been caused by Bedouin in Middle Ages camping in this building, lighting their fires internally, and of course smogging up the ceiling. Well, looking at the structure of the temple, we've got an outer court, and then we pass the first portal into the first chamber. In the first chamber, we pass another portal, which would have been there would have been a door, would have been sealed, sometimes with a clay seal, sometimes with guards upon it. Moving on to a third portal, again, which would have had doors and would have been sealed before reaching what I will call the Sanctum Sanctorum. And this is often repeated in faiths such as the Jewish faith, where the tabernacle for the Ark of the Covenant had a number of chambers that you had to pass, and according to your seniority in the order, depended on how far into the temple you could go, or into the tabernacle in that case, before approaching the Sanctum Sanctorum. And of course, as some of us may know, the final Sanctum Sanctorum was sometimes only entered by the priests once a year, and then after repeated washings and purifications against the great day of the expiation of sins. And one wonders if that Jewish tradition didn't take its rise from this Greco-Roman Ptolemaic type temple of a similar age. Just as I turn the camera off there, I noticed the ancient Egyptian lighting system, and we've seen things like that in Tesco's today, haven't we? The final theory is that this entire floor was laid with silver, and that when that door opened, a silver shaft would pass all the way along the area that I'm looking at, and then strike the silver in the Sanctum Sanctorum. Silver was more important to the ancient Egyptians because it was necessary to import silver, whereas gold could be easily stolen from the Nubians. A tradition maintained today, it's called bakshish, which is taking money from the white infidel. From the hypnotic hat, we can pan back and now see the inner chamber very much more clearly. It's like the Tower of Babel, everybody's speaking different languages, and I don't understand a thing. But never mind. Unfortunately, our Christian friends have been at work again and made an entire dog's breakfast of some of the wonderful wall carvings by defacing almost every single carving here in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And the final chamber at the back of the Sanctum Sanctorum shows the boat of the gods, where offerings could be left, and you can see the poles where the god would actually be put inside the boat to be transported. This boat was discovered when the temple was unearthed and is made of cedar wood. For reasons not fully understood, this room escaped the ravages of the Christians and all the others, and some of the original plasterwork remains complete with colour. And sections like that throne start to indicate just how colourful and joyous this place used to be. So sad it was replaced by such, dare one say, introverted religions such as Islam and Christianity. The joy seems to have gone out of religion. These people definitely had pleasure in their faith, some pleasure in their life. Well, it's slightly different from the way I explained earlier on. The Sanctum Sanctorum was the daily sanctuary. The final one, which I surmised would exist, is this one which is concealed to the side, and this is where the statue was brought just once a year for the washings, and after it had been washed in here, it would be placed up on the roof, believe it or not, for sunbathing purposes. And we have some remaining stars on the roof and some colour relief around the outside. It's believed that the inscriptions around this room related to the ceremony being taken at the time, so it could be passed on from generation to generation. Sort of ritual book in stone tablet. So in fact their ceremonies were in fact, as some people have said, cast in stone. But you can imagine the beauty of such a star chamber.
Right, a little snippet of information that I picked up was the fact that there's smoke on the ceiling. It's because all of this was covered in sand up until 6 foot of the ceiling, so the Bedouins climbed in through large holes that were on the outside, lit their fires, and because it was only 6 foot from the ceiling, that's why they're so black. And when they started restoring the place, they had to shovel tons and tons of sand out to expose the walls and everything, because they didn't know what they had here.
Which accounts, of course, for the preservation of the building, and looking at it, you can assume that probably the only bits the Bedouin were able to get in would have been little cracks like that, and everything else below that level was hidden below sand, hence it's been able to be restored so wonderfully. Thank goodness for shifting sand. Well, leaving the massive edifice of this temple of Osiris, we can pan around the courtyard, past the mud brick walls, and over in the far corner is the temple dedicated to Isis, which symbolically is where Isis went to have her children. Isis wasn't the only one who had the children of Osiris, because as Bob's just mentioned, Osiris was a bit like the neighbourhood tomcat. He was, dare one say, screwing everything in sight. However,
Well, there were only 2 women on earth, and he had them both, even despite the fact that they were his sisters.
yes, that's an interesting piece, isn't it?
Quite
Yes.
a moral man.
Yes. Well, we're still cruising up the Nile, heading towards the temple at Esna. You'd have to see this to believe it. Oh, I got the sky then. I wonder what had happened. It's just absolutely fabulous. Lush green vegetation. I know that colour's called eau de Nil. That's a sort of blue. The actual eau de Nil is a sort of brown, but never mind. There's the brakes. So, it's quite a stunning view from the forecastle, isn't it? Of course, the benefit of taking this one indoors is you don't get heaps of noise from the wind. Absolutely fabulous, darlings. And of course, on the other side of the river we find the ubiquitous mosque, or at least the mosque's minaret. Can't see the dome, which is a little unusual. Can you say anything, or are you too busy luxuriating?
I'm too busy luxuriating. It's absolutely beautiful. It's quite warm.
I love it when people turn their backs to the camera.
All I need is a gin and tonic.
I can bring you one if you like. Would you like one?
Oh, it's lovely. No, we're going down in a minute.
Okay. The reason for the lack of commentary is that the wind is blowing, not exactly a force 9, it's quite a pleasant wind. It's a benign wind. Somebody's shouting on the side, I don't know what they're shouting about. He wants backsheesh or something. Biblical scene, man and the donkey. And up on the hill is a mausoleum, and that's as close as I can get to it because we are quite a long way away. All that way. Okay, off you go.
Alright.
Yep. Here's a fishing scene on the Nile. Somebody's got their hand in my pocket, my luck has just changed. Don't shake. And on the shore we can see a couple of feluccas just along the side. And as we look back along the Nile, I'm in the stern sheets now where there's slightly less wind. You can hear the engines throbbing away, churning out the wake as the mighty Serenade, that's what the boat's called, the mighty Serenade shoots away. And off on the port side we have, unless I'm very much mistaken, 3 men in a boat. Are there 3 men in a boat? Yes there are. 3 men, 1 boat. At this rate they'll never make the Oxford rowing 8 though. What a shame. Bye guys. We're now in the upper salon, and this is the part of the boat that the tour operators like, because there's the shop. It seems to be off limits to husbands because that's where a lot of the money goes, in the shop. And there's an array of Galabea and postcards and all sorts of things. And then through the gap here we can look down on the lower floor, and then around past the photographs of last night's celebrations, which in themselves were quite a lot of fun, and around to the salon where we were last night. This is the stairway which takes us down to the lower deck with a very nice view of the water. And this is where we find the reception area, the notice board, and just in case, the way out, the emergency exit. Again with a lovely...
Go on, right. Now you can say it again. This is Sue and Jeff.
This is Sue and Jeff arguing about how to use the camera, And the last sentence was started halfway through because of this argument.
Oh, it's flashing.
Yeah, of course it's flashing, dear.
It's going.
Yeah, just don't worry about it.
There's a little thing.
This is to tell us that the tape is coming to an end, and we're going to have to move now to the third tape in the series, where we go to the Temple of what this afternoon, Bob?
Esna.
Esna, Temple of Esna. And we are having it really tough, aren't we?
Yeah.
This is agony.
This is really agony.
Jeff and I have spent the whole morning, apart from the visit to the temple, of course, agonising over the draft at the front.
Yes. Yeah. This is gin and tonic. This is the way.
This is Egyptian beer, which is very good.
Yes.
And it's cheap.
Yes. Inexpensive. It doesn't cost
Well,
much.
inexpensive.
Anyway, I think we can roll it up there soon, and